Welcome to the Weekly Gaming Blast, the podcast that brings you the weekly gaming news unhinged. I'm AkibanaZero.
And I'm Rue the Gamer. Hello.
And as usual, we're going to bring you the usual news bits, controversies, and we're going to follow it with a big discussion on the recent Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Direct, which you can go directly to by following the link in the comment section below. But before that, let's check in with Rue. How's it going, RTG?
I am not too bad. Thank you very much. I've acquired an Xbox, which, it's an interesting little console. My God, going from a PlayStation 4 to an Xbox, I find the menus completely incomprehensible.
So, which one do you find it comprehensible in general, or is it just the fact that you're coming from a PlayStation?
It's the fact I'm coming from a PlayStation, and although the PlayStation's not exactly simple, it's simpler than the Xbox. Although, in all fairness, I've very quickly realised if there's anything I need to do on the Xbox, press the Xbox button.
Okay.
Whatever I want to do, just press the Xbox button, and I will generally be able to do it.
Okay.
But it's taken me a long time to learn that because the PlayStation it's all to do with the XMB thing, which I find much easier to navigate, as opposed to all of these little blocks in the sort of Windows 10 mindset, which the Xbox seems to have.
I see. Well, I remember I haven't seen a recent image of what the Xbox interface looks like, but I remember it kind of had that Windows 10 Metro, whatever they used to call that UI. Is that still a thing?
Yeah, it's all blocky and in separate sets of blocks. So you've got your main blocks, and then you've got your pinned blocks, and then I just find it easier just to press Xbox button, my games. It's so much easier than going through the main menu. As such, I haven't really used the main menu at all.
I see. So what have you been playing on it lately?
My main game I've been playing on it is Assassin's Creed Origins. I must admit, I'm not a fan of Assassin's Creed as a series, but my word, this game is beautiful. I'm having fun just walking around Egypt, mainly. The combat is very cumbersome, so I'm avoiding that wherever possible. Although I'm starting to understand what it was there. I've spent something like 6 hours on it, and now I'm starting to understand what it is it wants me to do with the combat, and now I'm actually starting to find it easier. But mostly, I'm just loving exploring. Like, it is a beautifully designed world.
Oh, that's really good to know.
It's stunning. And the photo mode is really fun as well.
You get to take selfies in ancient Egypt and shit.
Yep, selfies in ancient Egypt, and also it essentially it pauses the gameplay, and also it takes all the UI off. So basically, it's just whatever is on the screen. So and you can move the camera around and stuff. So I've just taken sweeping vista shots most of the time, just removing the character entirely, just moving the camera until the character's not in shot, and then just looking at this beautiful piece of scenery. So yeah, and not to mention it doesn't feel as kind of blunt with the story. The story seems a bit more nuanced and actually well written. So I mean, as I say, not that I'm not massively far into it, but so far the story feels a lot less cumbersome and as I've already said, much better written than the previous Assassin's Creeds I've played.
Awesome. Very nice. Well, it does look like a beautiful game, and glad to hear that it brings your inner photographer out, I guess.
Oh no, that was brought out by Mario Odyssey. This is just continuing continuing the trend.
We don't mention Mario Odyssey to me until I'm done with all the other things I have going on in my life, because it feels it's breaking my heart. I've been avoiding our Nintendo Switch like crazy because I
won't say anymore.
Okay, good, because I know.
Although I've been playing Doom on Switch, which is an interesting experience.
Oh, you got it on Switch. I'm hearing great things about it.
It is really good. I mean, the only thing I would say, my review's going up tomorrow night, but on Nintendo Scene and obviously on my site as well, Rue the Gamer. But the only thing I'd say is if you've played it before, or if you already own it, don't get the Switch version.
Mm.
Because the drop in frame rate and the drop in kind of visual clarity. I mean, it's not a substantial drop in visual clarity, but it's still a drop. You can still tell. Means that handheld wise, it's a technical marvel, and I love it. But on the TV, it's much better played on a PS4 or Xbox One.
Yeah, that's what I've been seeing in other reviews, is that it's like 30 frames per second on the Switch, but it's a persistent 30 frames per second.
Yeah, I mean, the frame rate is fantastic. I mean, the only time that the frame rate or any sort of kind of like latency issues actually occur is online, when you're playing the online multiplayer.
Okay.
And that lags like a bitch.
Oh.
It's terrible.
Oh.
But then again, that's Nintendo's online infrastructure. It's not Bethesda.
I see. Yeah. And also the online mode is extra DLC. You have to download it in order to play it.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's fine. I mean, they can't fit everything into those little cartridges. But yeah, it's that I'm picking it up for Switch. From the moment I've been wanting to play the game, and the moment it got announced for Switch, I was like, I'm getting it on Switch because arcade mode. Seriously.
Yeah, and it is a fantastic game. I mean, don't let my kind of my slightly negative kind of feelings towards it like sway you at all. It is a brilliant game. Doom is a fantastic game.
It is a fantastic game, and it probably fits the Switch very nicely. I mean, that kind of fast-paced, jump in, jump out kind of shooter is exactly what you want on the Switch.
Yeah, agreed entirely.
Right.
How have you been, and have you been able to play anything recently?
Very, very mildly Fire Emblem Warriors, and that is mostly like it's that kind of game that I feel like I can spend like 15 minutes just to clear my head by hacking and slashing at things. So yeah, that's been working out very nicely, but I haven't been diving too deep into things like with other games at all. It's been difficult with the real life boss that I'm facing these days.
Only a few more weeks, and then you can tackle online bosses, and
we're pretty much
internet bosses.
8 days away. 8 days away, and I'm done. Next thing will be Mario Odyssey, and that I just want to sink my teeth into so we can talk about this in complete and it's all of its glory together. Yeah.
And I have to not, and I can just stop shutting up about it.
Exactly. So, yep, without further ado, let's just start diving in, starting off with our controversial section. And it's never a controversial section without one of the two, big masterminds behind all the bad things that are happening in the industry these days, EA. And they've done exactly what I hoped that they wouldn't do. They've bought Respawn Entertainment, the creators of Titanfall. Oh boy, fraptious day. I'm not happy. I'm laughing, but I'm not happy.
See, I could tell you wouldn't be happy. Plus, also, it cannot be ignored, the timing of this.
Oh no, with Visceral axed, this is... Oh my god, this is like, what the hell is going on? Why is this happening now? This is so bad.
I mean, to give them credit, they're giving us constant material for this section. But please, EA, just stop. And also, developers, stop selling yourselves to EA. You've seen what's happened to Bullfrog, and what is looking like is going to happen to BioWare, what's happened to Visceral.
And DICE, and Westwood, and Maxis, was it?
Maxis. Oh yeah, Maxis as well. But you know what happens if you sell yourselves to EA.
It's the Unicronic Arts, as
Unicronic
Jim
Arts.
Sterling very accurately puts it, because he's liking it. EA to Unicron from Transformers, the planet-eating giant robot planet. Oh god. Well, anyway, let's just go into like, a little bit of the details. First of all, Respawn has been having like this, deal with EA for several years now, releasing Titanfall under EA's publication, and now they've been officially acquired for over $450 million. And they're going to be tasked with actually working on 3 projects. First of all, another Titanfall game, so that definitely confirms Titanfall 3. Second, they're working on a Star Wars game, which is something I wasn't aware they were doing, but we were aware that they were working on some kind of Oculus Rift project. At first it was a VR project, now it's being called a Oculus Rift project. So yeah, it's going to be a new IP, so nothing related to Titanfall or Star Wars or anything like that. So 3 projects. 3 things that EA is going to put its paws into. Zampella, the CEO of Respawn, has seen all of the cries and the death knells that have been screaming from the bowels of Reddit and the entire internet. And he's been saying that, guys, don't worry, we're still Respawn, and it's gonna still be Respawn. Don't worry, trust us, we know what we're doing. That's all fine and well. But we can't expect them to say something opposite to that, right?
Plus, also, furthermore, regardless of what they believe that they are doing, EA will also be EA. They can't ignore that. I mean, death nails, yeah, definitely death nails. But I'm going to fully hold out my perspective on it until the first game by Respawn comes. Because if it comes out and it has microtransactions and loot boxes and all of that nonsense, I'm like, okay, EA have done it. They're going to destroy Respawn. Because we don't know. They might not. It's very unlikely, but they might not do the whole, right, you're doing all of this stuff that you don't particularly want to do because we want it to be in our games. They might not do that. Doubt it, but they might not.
And
we just have to wait and see what Respawn what the next Respawn game is.
Right. That's probably going to be Titanfall 3. Now, to put some background into all of this, like, why is this a concern? Titanfall 2, while not the huge sales success that other shooters were during last year, it still sold decently. But the big thing about it was that it ran under what I consider a good business model for gaming. Basically, anything gameplay related is free, and it does not come in loot boxes or anything like that. Whenever a new Titan was released, a new weapon was released, a new attack, a new ability, a map, a game mode, all of these kinds of things, they were just given to everybody for free. No questions asked whatsoever. The game had unlockables, and it had microtransactions. The difference is that these microtransactions were, first of all, purely cosmetic, and they didn't come in loot boxes. They weren't random. Like, if you bought a color pack for your pilot and your Titan, what you saw is what you got. You got a whole other set of colors. If you got a skin for a particular Titan, that was it. You knew what you were getting. That was it. No questions asked. No randomization whatsoever. And the game already had a lot of customization that you unlocked with the in-game currency that you got by playing the game. You couldn't buy in-game currency with real money. So that was the model of Titanfall 2. Excellent model, in my opinion. Exactly what most games should be following nowadays. What our concern now is that all of this starts becoming part of some kind of loot box microtransaction scheme that EA might force down Respawn's throat. Now, if that were to not even happen, here are some other concerns that I personally have. First of all, forcing Respawn to use the Frostbite engine. This is a big one for Titanfall players, because Titanfall has been using a modified version of the source engine, which has allowed for various things that have actually, actually the competitive scene of Titanfall is built around, and that is bunny hopping and other glitchy techniques, if you want to put it this way, that have shaped Titanfall's mobility. So using the Frostbite engine might mean that these things don't exist anymore. Another problem that might happen is that none of these things happen, and Respawn goes ahead and does what they want. Titanfall 3 doesn't sell as well as EA wants, and they decide, Respawn, you were a bad purchase, bye. These are the concerns I have. And I don't think they're unfounded, given the recent circumstances.
No, both of them are entirely realistic. I mean, thinking about it, the best we can hope for, if EA stick their fingers in, the best we can hope for Titanfall 3 is a season pass. That's the best we can hope for.
I agree.
Because obviously loot boxes, microtransactions, that sort of thing is probably the worst. Or I wouldn't put it past EA to come up with a similar pattern to the Activision shall we say microtransaction algorithm that you Activision came up with. I wouldn't put it past EA to come up with something similar. So yeah, the best we could hope for is a season pass.
And I wouldn't be completely averse to it if, like, we really have to go down that path and it means that Titanfall can stay alive as a series, because I consider it one of the best shooters that were made last year. And it's a really, really strong game to play if you're sick of things like Call of Duty and Battlefield. It's a good alternative to get into with a very good community. But still, let's hope we don't go really, really deep down the rabbit hole. That is the only problem that I'm having right now with this. Because season passes are a thing. We can't, like, stop. We can't just say, like, stop it with all of this DLC nonsense. Have DLC. It just needs to be reasonable. Season passes might be the most reasonable thing we can ask for.
And that's not a good state of affairs.
No. Considering the previous model. Anyway.
Speaking of not good state of affairs, and also keeping with Unichronic Arts, nice to see that they're capable of lies, isn't it?
It is.
To put this into some sort of context before I get off, like really get into a rant on this. EA, when faced with the sheer amount of loot box kind of the sheer kind of audacity of their loot box economy in Battlefront 2, released a kind of press release saying they dialed it back, that it wasn't going to be as prevalent anymore, which is a lie. And the reason it's a lie is because it's come out very, very recently that the way that the loot boxes are actually incorporated into the multiplayer of Battlefront 2 means that the game is, in probably the best kind of tangible evidence and tangible explanation of the term, pay to win. Because the loot box, the gear you get is directly related to what level you are, but you increase your level by opening loot boxes.
Oh.
So because of that, because it's that way round, because the more loot boxes you open, the better gear you can get out of loot boxes, pay to win. There's no better explanation, no better definition as to what pay to win is than this.
And that's the main problem with putting anything whatsoever gameplay related into things like this, is that it doesn't matter if you're not putting the high level stuff, or if you're only putting common or rare stuff in the loot boxes. It's gameplay related stuff. It makes you more powerful than the other guy who hasn't paid. The other guy, in order to be better than you, has to spend double or triple the amount of time you are in the game just to stay current with you. That is the main problem here. So that is so it's not that they lied, it's that they basically crafted this whole idea that, hey, don't worry, all the strong stuff is still only accessible in game. Whoop-de-doo. Doesn't really matter. And I remember I said this in a previous Gaming Blast, that it doesn't matter.
Yes, I did.
It doesn't matter if they put the strong stuff there. There's still stuff in the loot boxes that are gameplay related. That is it. That is all.
And also, you're completely right as well with what you said before, and it does bear repeating on this podcast. Apologies for anyone who watches us all the time and has heard us say this so many times. The chances are, in terms of gameplay related augmentation, which is what these loot boxes essentially offer, the lower grade stuff is more likely to be game breaking than the higher tier stuff. I think you said it before in terms of like, I think you mentioned Hearthstone with it, that the less rare, some of the less rare cards are a lot more broken than the like rare tier cards. And it will be the same in this. It'll be exactly the same, because essentially the most powerful kind of tier of kind of star cards, that's what they're called in Battlefront 2, you can get from loot boxes, they're only going to be surely pure power. Whereas there's going to be some really insidious ones lower down the tiers that you could just buy and win that way. And the worst thing is, I mean, this is pretty bad as it is, but the worst thing is there's the opposite side. There's people that are defending these things to the hilt, or are, which I would actually argue worse than defending them, are just brushing them off. I read I think it was Reddit. No, it wasn't Reddit. It was on the actual, and I can't believe I found myself here. It was on the actual official forums for Battlefront on EA.com. And someone actually posted saying, and I will quote the title, "Who cares about pay to win?" So it's this complacency which is causing this to continue onwards. One thing, I've just got to quote you two sentences from this, and you'll understand exactly the rest of his, because it was a really long kind of comment, but these two sentences sum up his entire standpoint. He didn't really need to put anything after these. Now, don't get me wrong, I find loot boxes in any form of any game that isn't free to play scummy, but the kicker is this: those who need to buy loot boxes for any kind of instant gratification or tangible advantage are weak players, and their stats will show it as well as their bank statements. That is an elitist gamer speaking, and no one will listen to that.
Okay, sure. I mean, here's my counterpoint. I know he's not here right now and you're not that guy, but let's pretend for a moment that I'm looking at him right now.
Yeah, I'll pretend I'm the elitist gamer.
Yeah, because you're the definition of an elitist gamer right over there. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
Right, so...
Get good scrubs.
Get good scrubs, yeah. So here's the thing. Let me put it this way. There is a big difference in a game where there are abilities, weapons, or characters that do significantly better for less resources than you can actually make up with skill, okay? Like, this is something that has been premised from a very long time when games were a lot simpler, all right? So let's take an example from Street Fighter 2 with Original Sagat. Original Sagat was head and shoulders the strongest character in the entire game in Super Turbo, okay? This character was soft banned in Japan. And I don't think Japan back then, which was the dominant force in fighting games, had any problems with skill. Had any problems whatsoever with being dominant just from sheer skill. But it was a fact. It was a sheer fact that Sagat was a much, much, much stronger character than all the other characters in the game. Even look at the hidden character Akuma back then when he was just a secret boss and he was designed to be overpowered. There was no other character in the game that could beat him. So yeah, sure, maybe occasionally a stronger player could defeat someone who has more and better stuff with skill. But that still doesn't defeat the fact, that still doesn't, completely remove the fact that if two people of equal skill are playing and one has a lot of paid for stuff and the other player doesn't, this guy is always going to win. That doesn't change anything at all. The argument is moot. We're not even talking about pro players playing with casuals or new players. We're talking people of equal skill, which is what matters in matchmaking games that try to matchmake you based on your skill and your ranking. It's idiotic what this guy is saying.
Yes, I know. Plus also, it's completely discounting some... I don't think this person has done adequate research into what some of these loot box star cards do. I mean, bear in mind, there is one, and this is the one which struck me. The moment I heard it, I was like, I cannot believe that this managed to get into the game in terms of balancing. there is a kind of star card that, if you're playing as Boba Fett, makes him completely invincible during one of his attacks.
Yes, I know about that one.
Completely invincible. And it's his missile launcher, I believe. So it's not even a weak attack, but he's invincible. Surely, even if your mindset is, oh yeah, people that pay for loot boxes are weak players, that person would still probably win in a firefight, seeing as he's invincible. Nothing to do with weak player.
And I mean, is this guy trying to even say that if he and I had the same gun, it's just that my gun, I paid to make sure that every bullet takes 100% of your life, that that he would still be able to beat me with skill. That's ridiculous. It doesn't matter how strong he is. Most of the time, I will land one shot. I will spray him all the time, and one shot is going to get him, and he's going to die. There's just, like, no way for him to win, or at least guarantee victory, just because he plays better than me.
Yeah. But this is the sort of complacency that this is breeding. You've got the people that are vehemently against it, and then you've got the people that are defending it, and then the worst kind, you've got the people that are just going, it's just what happens. No, this is not just what happens. And I will keep going on about it until people listen to me. But yeah, EA, you've done some stuff, but 2017 has not been a good year for you and morality, has it?
The experiments they've been conducting are, I don't know. I mean, it seems like all of these complaints that we've been throwing out into the void are actually not being heard, because they're selling better than ever. And I think it was a tweet that you shared from Sterling that said, like, hey, I mean, now that you're all like being so gloating over the fact that you're making a lot of money from loot boxes, can we never again hear complaints about how expensive the games are to be made?
Yeah, but we won't.
We won't. No. They'll just keep saying it because that's what they want. I understand that. Again, I will reiterate this. Both me and Ruben understand very, very well that game companies are businesses, but say there's a difference between, exploiting your customers and making money in an ethical manner. This is two different things. Okay. So we feel right now as a show, from our standpoint, and the people that we constantly follow, we feel that these loot boxes, these microtransactions, are unethical. And something needs to be done at a government level if need be.
Yep, couldn't have put it better myself.
I'm getting red-faced here, so I'm going to move us on to the bite-sized stuff because, yeah, let's talk about something more cheerful. Here's a cheerful piece of news. PUBG, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, has sold over 20 million copies on PC. Yay!
That's it. I mean, we can't. Not only is that incredible, but it's not even out on Xbox One yet.
Ooh.
20 million sales on just PC, and it's still yet to come out on console for us plebs that aren't in the master race.
Congratulations to Blue Hole for the sales. That's an amazing feat right over there.
Well, to be fair, it's a very clear indicator on how powerful Twitch and YouTube is.
Oh yeah, because there's a lot of names that are playing these games on Twitch and YouTube. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, not only are a lot of massive streamers playing this game, but also it's a sign of how, if people know about your game, chances are they will give it a try, and then chances are they will buy it. A lot of companies should learn from this. A lot of companies should learn how useful Twitch and YouTube is to your business.
Nintendo.
Yeah, I didn't want to name names, but you did it for me.
I'm not going to pull my punches, man.
No, I would rather you didn't. Well, you know my standpoint on Nintendo.
Yeah.
Well, both of my standpoints. I have a very pro and a very negative. It's a really difficult position being me. But yeah, that's incredible news for PUBG.
It is incredible news, yeah. And just to hit that a little bit home while I'm talking about Nintendo, it breaks my heart that in a little over a week I'm gonna be buying Super Mario, and I won't be able to share my joy with the rest of YouTube. That's what really stings me, is that I'm gonna have this incredible Mario game in my hands and I won't be able to play it and enjoy it with the rest of the YouTube and the rest of the gaming community at large.
Well, to be fair, there's a very large kind of Twitter presence for that game. So tweet about it. Trust me, there's so many people that are still raving about it on Twitter.
And do the little 30-second videos, right? They allow those on Twitter.
Oh yeah, those are good. Those are really good. Actually, they're a lot better than I expected. And also a lot better than we expected. Xbox One X.
Oh yeah.
That launched this week, did it not?
It did. A little unceremoniously, if you ask me.
True, but I think it needed that, to be honest. I mean, Microsoft probably know by now that they can't compete with the PlayStation this generation, so they're just going to have to deal with what they can. And I don't have an Xbox One X, I have an S. But my friend bought an Xbox One X, and he's very impressed with it. I mean, it's anecdotal, of course. I mean, the main rave he has about it at the moment is the fact that like games load so much quicker, apparently, on the Xbox One X, as opposed to the original Xbox One.
I would expect as much from a $600 console, was it?
Yeah, something like that, 549 or something in this country, I think. But it's got kind of mixed reviews. I mean, I think it's just edging on positive, is it not? Like around about 60-40, I'd say, in terms of positivity. But that's still good. I mean, for a console that's obviously it's not going to win this generation, no matter how much it bills itself as the most powerful console currently on the market. But I really do hope this does well for Microsoft. I genuinely do.
Me too. But it seems like there are some hints that they're dropping right and left that maybe they might not be in the hardware game for very long. Because they've been saying some things like, that there are possibilities that they might start dropping first-party titles in other devices. And the word PlayStation has been uttered on several occasions as well. Nothing confirmed or denied either at this point.
Maybe unlike Nintendo and unlike Sega, and like Sega, sorry, not unlike Sega, like Sega, Microsoft have realized they cannot compete with Sony. Because if you think, Sony has been around for 4 generations, and of those 4 generations it's been around, it won 3 of them. The PlayStation is a brand to be feared in the gaming industry. It really is. The only time the PlayStation didn't win overall was the PS3. And that's only because it really suffered from a terrible launch. I think by the end it overtook, but the Xbox 360 the Wii outstripped the PS3. That was the one which won that generation, not the Xbox 360. But yeah, it's like, I think Xbox are realizing that they've got good games, but there's just not enough of a fan base, enough of an install base there to provide those fans with everything that they could possibly want. And obviously Sony's getting a lot of really brilliant exclusives that Xbox isn't getting, because Xbox has notoriously never done very well in Japan. So I think if they do, I'd rather they didn't, because I think competition breeds very, very good things. I mean, the Switch, I don't think the Switch would be anywhere near as good as it is if it wasn't for the fact that the Wii U was pretty much decimated. Competition breeds innovation, and I like that. So it'd be a shame to see Xbox go, but if they think it's the right thing for them to do, then I think a lot of PlayStation fans would love to be able to play like Gears of War and Halo and stuff on the PS4.
I don't disagree, and I'm glad you brought up that point about competition, because this is the worrying thing about this, is that if indeed Microsoft decides to pull out of the race, the console race, then PlayStation really doesn't have a true competitor if you think about it. Because Nintendo with the Switch has made a declaration that we understand we're not for the hardcore gamer. We are here for the people who want to play Nintendo games and they want to have a portable console. That is what Nintendo has basically told me as a gaming consumer. And that is
Yep.
great. But they are happy not being anybody's main console, which is great. So what is left for PlayStation to compete with? PC?
And it would just result, yeah, and it would just result in PlayStation becoming really complacent. I mean, Sony have already become quite complacent this generation anyway, without removing their competition.
Well, we'll have to see. Hopefully they don't pull out because I'm not an Xbox guy, but it's always great to know that there's another side to the industry, to see other great ideas come out. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the Triple X, but I still think that it's an interesting idea and an interesting step forward. We'll have to see what happens. And speaking of things that to see what happens, because we're basically not seeing that much anyway from them right now, Blizzard and the Hearthstone team have come out and said that they have talked about adding new classes to the game, but it's considered, they think it's very, very complicated to do. And so that's why they've been avoiding adding more classes to the game. And apparently, on top of this, they had considered making a Death Knight class for the recent expansion that came out for Knights of the Frozen Throne, but they ended up scrapping that idea and just giving all classes a card that switches them to a Death Knight and changes their abilities. Now, here's the thing I'm going to say on this, is that, first of all, Hearthstone, Blizzard, you guys have an amazing selection of classes from World of Warcraft, which Hearthstone is basically based on. To not include some of these classes it's kind of a little bit like, it's kind of like, teasing on one hand, but on the other hand, it kind of also makes the player base feel a little bit bad, because we've been wanting another class in the game for a while. And sure, maybe it doesn't fully add something brand new or whatever, or maybe it's too difficult to add something brand new, but here is the question. If it's so complicated to add it with the current structure of the game, shouldn't the game start considering becoming a little more layered than it actually is? Because right now, that's the biggest problem with Hearthstone, is that it's too simple, at least in my opinion. They need to add a little bit more complexity, but they've been avoiding this like crazy. And just a little bit of a tidbit here, there's another game out there, Shadowverse, and that's adding another class right now. And I'm betting that team is not even half the size of what Blizzard has, so what gives?
Well, I just, the moment I read this, I just thought, I don't understand how it can be too complicated. I mean, the Pokemon Company introduced a new type a couple of generations ago that completely changed all of the strengths and weaknesses of Pokemon. It's not inconceivable to be able to do that. It's just not. I don't get it.
I don't understand it either. Like, and I'm guessing the fact that they're starting to say something about classes is a bit of a precursor that they're actually thinking about it and that they're actually probably trying to do something about it. It's just, come out, don't say things that, you're eventually going to have to, take back, which has always been the Blizzard way, to be honest. Let's be honest. I mean, they've always been like, we'll never do classic servers. Boom! World of Warcraft Classic. We'll never do, another class in World of Warcraft. Boom, they did Death Knights. Boom, they did Demon Hunters and Monks. Like, I think at some point they even said they wouldn't do the Pandaren as a race in World of Warcraft, and then they did them as a whole expansion. It's weird press to me. This is like weird press, and it just drives me even further from playing Hearthstone anymore. To be completely real here, but yeah. Anyway, if it's too complicated, I don't know, guys. It's too complicated. I'll see you when Monk comes out.
Well, from one instance of you being driven away from playing the game to something that may end up actually making you play a game more, Fire Emblem Warriors had its 1.2 update recently that introduced a few very interesting things to it. I mean, it brought the normal stuff. I mean, actually, I should say first, this was free.
Mm-hmm.
This update was free. I should clarify that before I say anything. But it brought in another couple of cute little outfits for Rowan and Liana, if that's your thing. It added a new history mode map. But the thing that it added that I find most interesting is this added a disrobe mechanic. And what I mean by this is that certain enemies in the game will be able to attack you, which will then shatter your armor, lowering your overall defense. In a way that sounds very similar to Super Ghouls and Ghosts. And with Liana and Rowan, shattering their armor actually brings them down to a sort of swimwear sort of outfit. For all of the Rule 34 people to have a field day. But yeah, I mean, the fact they're adding such a large amount of kind of content for free is quite good, actually. I think it's a quite nice kind of support of a fledgling game. And also, it's very much in the vein of Hyrule Warriors, which I also like.
Yeah, it's an incredible amount of content just for free, and that's what you want. Actually, you want more support that's coming for free, right? And that's what we've been talking about this whole time is like gameplay stuff. Let us have it for free. Why not? I think it's kind of weird that they're adding this disrobe mechanic post game. You would imagine that this would be something that would be in the game from the start, but okay. No, I'm not gonna complain. I mean, taking Liana down to her swimwear doesn't sound like a bad idea to me.
But I knew you were a fan of Liana. I knew it. But yeah, I mean, I just like the strategic element that if you get hit, it shatters your armor, which therefore lowers your overall defense. I like that. That'll add an additional depth in terms of difficulty. And we both know I like my games difficult.
I know you do. Well, to be fair, I mean, I hope that kind of makes, I mean, I've been playing the game on easy mode, to be honest, because like this is my first Warriors game, to be fair. But I do wish it got a little more challenging. Down, like I'm at the later levels, and I wish that it would get a little bit more challenging. I mean, the strategic element is a little more challenging, but now that I understand where to send all my units, it's not really that difficult anymore. I complete missions very, very easily. But but I just basically, whatever character I control, I feel unstoppable. I feel like I could actually power through with whatever character I'm controlling. So having this mechanic actually might even make easy mode just a little bit more challenging than it is right now. Yeah.
I hope so. I didn't even bother with easy mode, I must admit.
Maybe I should play the later modes. That's that.
Well, I'll go through doing easy mode later, just as a kind of to get to mop up the additional achievements and things to do.
That's fair, but it's generally an incredible game. Very good Warriors game. Not that I have a lot of experience with that, but it's really good. Lots of content. I think the season pass is gonna definitely be worth it. Like £18 for all that content that they're giving is just it's a steal, if you ask me. Well,
yeah, couldn't agree with that more.
And see, someone else who is stealing and running away with the bank's money is Activision, because Call of Duty apparently is back. World War II has sold over $500 million in its first 3 days. $500 million. That's more than Thor Ragnarok made.
I wonder how much of that was loot boxes.
Quite a bit actually. Also, I'm just gonna say this. I'm not his biggest fan, but Angry Joe's review of World War II, worth checking out. just for the digs he's taking at the loot boxes. Just for that. Worth it. I'm gonna put the link in the comment section below because it's definitely worth it.
Well, I had the same thing because well, unfortunately, one of those sales of World War II was me, because when I bought my Xbox One, it was the bundled-in game. One of the bundled-in games was Call of Duty World War II, which I traded in, by the way. But
You're a part of
Um,
something. You're a part of this magic. Yay!
yeah, but the thing is, when I was trading it in, I traded it in at game, and the guy behind the counter was just like, trading in. He was just like, trading in World War Two this soon. Did you not like it? And I was just like, it's got loot boxes in it. On principle, I'm not playing this game. Um, but yeah, like 50, like it's. I would really like to see how much in terms of that revenue is the microtransactions and how much is the actual game sales. I would like to know that divide.
They're not gonna tell us, man. They're not.
Of course they won't, but I really want to know.
But have you seen what
See,
it looks like when they open up the loot box right in front of everybody? It's funny. It's funny. You, like I said, check out Angry Joe's review. You're gonna see that shit. It's crazy.
just no, that like I'm not usually one for historical accuracy, but that didn't happen in World War Two. I'm pretty sure. Um, but oh, just yeah, I keep despairing over it, and I need this, and I need to stop. I need to be more proactive with it. Um, but another kind of despairing fact: Miiverse is now gone. Possibly one of Nintendo's best ideas in the past 10 years is now gone. Um, but it did come with a nice little ending. There was a image posted by Nintendo on Miiverse. It was the final image to be posted onto Miiverse, of which they made a collage of like countless Miiverse posts over the years, and it basically just was a post that said thank you, made out of a collage of like other Miiverse posts, and it was just such a beautiful end to Miiverse. And also it's a sign that Nintendo, I mean, it may just be publicity or whatever, but to me it feels like Nintendo did care about that as a service, for them to have gone through the work of piecing together something like this. That is just such a beautiful kind of like lasting legacy from Miiverse as a service.
I wish they would have kept it. I mean,
yeah.
I'd imagine that it would be perfect on the Switch to have Miiverse.
Oh, it would have been. It would have been perfect on the Switch because it's a touchscreen. So, I mean, it still lives on kind of in the messages on Splatoon 2, but it's not the same as Miiverse.
It won't be the same. No, not at all.
Such a shame.
It is a shame. It is a shame. And we're all going to feel a little bit of shame. It's also a crying shame that, you know, Kojima is such a mysterious guy, because it seems like there's going to be one person in this entire world, aside from the people working on the game already, who's going to get to see what Death Stranding finally looks like, gameplay-wise. Benicio del Toro is going to finally see some gameplay-related footage of Death Stranding sometime in the next couple of weeks, I guess.
It's weird. Death Stranding, very much like Metroid Prime 4, is a game that I have no idea what it's gonna be like, and yet I am still really excited about.
Because it's Kojima, man.
See, I'm not a fan of Kojima normally.
You're not? Why not?
No, I don't like Metal Gear. I don't tend to like Metal Gear. But watching those two trailers of Death Stranding, I am sold just on the concept. I just really hope the gameplay isn't a mess, because it looks visually arresting. I want to know what's happening.
It's definitely, it looks like a really mysterious world, and the kind of like really dark and creepy type of world. And I think it's going to like take us into into corners of Kojima's mind that I don't know if we're ready to experience, to be honest with you.
Well, the darkness appears to have come from PT, which I'm not complaining about.
Oh, no, not at all.
But I can't believe I'm actually saying these words, but I'm genuinely jealous of Del Toro.
Oh, yeah, same here. Benicio, do something, you know, do a leak or something. Let us, No, it's not Benicio, it's Guillermo del Toro. What?
Yeah, Guillermo del Toro.
I'm so bad with Spanish names. Sorry. Don't comment. Don't comment yet. Guillermo del Toro, please leak.
Another leak, but which was then confirmed over the this is a fantastic leak. This has got me so excited. I can barely get my words straight. It was leaked earlier on this week and then confirmed by the company involved. Niantic, creators of Pokemon Go, I almost said Dragon Quest Go. That would be an amazing game. Creators of Pokemon Go are creating a Harry Potter game in a similar vein called Wizards Unite, and I could not be more excited that this exists. I mean, what we know so far is basically it's similar to Pokemon Go in that you take your phone out with you. While you're out, you can meet and battle fantastic beasts, and also meet and battle famous kind of dark wizards, and meet other kind of wizards on the kind of good side of the kind of narrative. And also you can team up with people to take down fantastic beasts and take down dark wizards. I am sold. Come on, Niantic, bring it out. I'm ready.
Make it better than Pokemon Go, please, because that became a snooze fest very quickly for me.
Just let me be able to cast spells on my iPhone. That's all I want out of life.
What's it called? I'm forgetting all my Harry Potter spells now.
I don't even know which one you could be referencing.
Wingardium Leviosa.
I'm a huge Harry Potter. Oh, that was the amount of kind of meme that will come out of that being a in real life thing you can do. But yeah, Wizards Unite. Oh, like it's a dream combination for me. Like AR and Harry Potter. I just can't.
Didn't
wait.
know you were a Potter fan.
I am a huge Potter fan.
Oh, good, nice to hear that. Because I love the books, great books, awesome books. I had a good time with them. Yeah, this was actually a little bit out of left field. Didn't expect that this was going to be the next franchise that Niantic would be tackling, but yeah, so it does, from the look of it, from what we're hearing at least, it sounds like what we kind of hoped would happen with Pokemon Go. Like you're actually going to be doing some battling finally instead of, just collecting stuff. Which, I mean, that's... Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, actually, if you are a Harry Potter fan and you haven't played it, I would very much recommend Lego Harry Potter.
Oh, they're that good?
It's wonderful. Yeah.
All right, I'll definitely have a look, I guess. And let's have a quick look also at the latest Monster Hunter World news, because, yep, we've got some pretty interesting tidbits to share about Monster Hunter World. So, first of all, Capcom has announced that they'll be introducing 50-member squads into the game. Basically, squads are going to act in a sense kind of like guilds or clans in other games, but you're going to be limited to 50 players. Now, the difference, though, is that every player can be part of 8 different squads at like each time. Like you could be a part of 8 squads. So that will be like you have like a whole like 8 other different little communities that you can be a part of to find other hunters to party with and go on quests and stuff with. On top of that, they're going to be introducing arena quests, which are basically challenge quests with a time limit. And I think that was also a thing in other Monster Hunters, but they were called something different, if I remember correctly. But yeah, these arena quests are going to be more challenging to unlock better loot, better gear, and all that stuff. And they're also going to be introducing a training area, so you can test out weapons. And keep in mind that this was a thing in other Monster Hunters. It's just that instead of a training area, you had training quests. So if you wanted to test out a new weapon style, because weapons in Monster Hunter all play very, very differently from each other. So these the training quests have always been a godsend in Monster Hunter 4. You could actually just go on this little quest where you fight a big monster, one of the easier ones, and you could at the same time test out a new weapon set. So yeah. It's great that they're introducing a training area because, like I said, weapons are extremely complex and in some cases are very complex, and you need to like get used to them before you actually go on a real hunt. So yeah, I'm glad they're doing this. 3 very, very interesting features.
I mean, Monster Hunter. I don't think I'm enough of a fan. I do like the clan idea though. I mean, if there's one thing that I was never a fan of before, but Dark Souls has made me a fan of. It's Jolly Cooperation. um, I'm much more of a fan of cooperating with people now than I used to be.
And I think I'm gonna be honest with you. Monster Hunter is one of the games that you kind of want to cooperate with people with, because you can get pretty far on your own, but the real joy of playing Monster Hunter is when you have like different players playing different weapon types and you're going at it all together at this monster. You're strategizing, you're figuring out when each person is supposed to attack, because it kind of matters. Like if you've got someone with a long sword, he's gonna be swiping around because you can hit the other hunters as well. You can't just be swinging around like crazy. So it's very much a very cooperative based game, and it's very well made in that regard, because you're, like I said, each weapon plays differently. It matters in its own right. So yeah, if you are starting to warm up to cooperative games, this like Monster Hunter might actually be something for you.
I would just need voice chat, I think.
PlayStation, man.
That would be a necessity.
PlayStation.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, PlayStation Party would be very easy to set up.
And all you would need to do is just join squads that say, hey, mic only. And that's the nice thing about being in like smaller squads, but being like a part of a variety of small squads, is that you could have a squad where you play your very serious quests with, another squad that you play more casually with, or another squad that just goes and does, fun stuff. Because this looks like a game that's going to offer a variety of playstyles. So yeah, being a part of different squads will be a very important part of this experience.
I might give it a look. Can't promise anything, but
I'm always gonna try and convince you to play this, because this is gonna be worth it, my friend. This is gonna be freaking worth it.
You've got a lot of weeks left of trying that.
I will. You're gonna try the beta, because you have PlayStation Plus, right? Don't forget, all PlayStation Plus members are good, and December 9th to December 12th are gonna get free access to the beta. So you and I, we're gonna be there, slaying monsters together.
Okay, I'll see you there.
Yeah. Right. On to the big stuff. This is your show now, my friend.
The big news. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Direct from Nintendo. My word, that game is looking good. I'm so glad I pre-ordered it months ago. I don't even know where to start with the stuff they covered. Well, start with the main game. Orest is beautifully designed. Basically, they seem to have gone back to, in my opinion, the world design from the first game, not from X, which is good because I didn't like X. So they're going back to these kind of beautiful, thematic, sprawling worlds. And it looks like, by the looks of things, all of the features from the first Xenoblade Chronicles are back. So you've got isolated merchant areas, you've got towns, you've got like multiple mini quests that seem to drive the story in little ways, as opposed to the mess of mini quests that was Xenoblade X. The whole game kind of revolves around having a driver and a blade, of which you can equip multiple blades that have multiple different abilities. These can be kind of combined together to create kind of fusion style attacks, where you attack with the blade to cause colossal damage. The best thing, in my opinion, they announced is that it will come with a Japanese voiceover as DLC on day one. Because if there's one thing I really don't like in games, it's English voiceovers. I much prefer it being kept Japanese with subtitles, because English voice is really great on me after a while. But yeah, dual audio is going to be a DLC on day one.
Which is exactly what Persona 5 did as well. Kind of to my detriment as well, because after I started my playthrough, I realized that it was a separate download, and then I had to play the whole game in English because I couldn't switch for some reason.
Oh, why they won't let you switch? That's just I don't really see.
Because I hadn't downloaded it before, and then I started a save in the English. It's never mind. I'm over that already. I enjoyed the voice acting in Persona 5 anyway in English, so it was fine.
So yeah, but the other things with Orest, I mean, there appears to be a very large amount of characters. which is good because if Monolith can do anything, it's good characterization, in my opinion. So the fact there's loads of characters, those characters are all going to be quite well rounded and quite interesting. Of which we saw a lot of blades and drivers. I mean, I love the little girl driver that has the giant cat blade. I love that character already. She just looks so cool. But I must admit, I'm trying to avoid any story stuff, so I don't know the story, which is good, because I think these games require kind of going into it fresh story-wise. Otherwise, you end up losing a really large part of the experience. But that's the kind of main thrust, the main kind of crux of the game. If you have any thoughts on that before I move on to the next one.
I do have something to ask. I mean, when you say blades, these are like these little spirit characters you have, right? And you can equip up to 3 of them on your main character. Do these change your weapon in any way?
Yes.
That's why they're called blades, I guess.
So you've got ones which are axes, ones which are swords, etc., etc., etc. So if you think that the blades are essentially sentient weapons,
okay,
that's the best way to describe them. Like weapons with spirits in, that's the best way to describe them. But like your blades grow with you, so they level up too. So in a very similar way to like GFs in Final Fantasy VIII, with each kind of blade leveling up under its own kind of volition and steam. But also there are hidden blades, and that intrigues me more than anything. The fact there's hidden rare blades in the world to find.
I like that. That sounds really, really cool. Like just something to go around looking for to make yourself even more powerful. It has a bit of a Final Fantasy quality to it that way.
Precisely. It gives you a reason to explore. Because if there's one thing I don't like about quite a lot of open world, massive kind of games, is that there's not enough reason to explore. But it sounds like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is definitely succeeding in making a game that people are going to want to look around.
It would be pretty cool if you're like, find something that tells you, oh, like something that starts like a little bit of a exploration quest where you're going around looking for a specific blade. That's gonna be very interesting if they're doing that.
I would love it. I would absolutely love it. Plus, also, it'll give you a reason to return to areas later. Because if there's one thing that Xenoblade has always done, and I'm very glad it has, is that the worlds feel like worlds. Like no matter which area of the game you'll be in, there will be enemies around that are significantly stronger than you are, because it's like a natural world. Of course, there's going to be more powerful creatures, but it will give a real reason to go back later to those areas and defeat those enemies, because they could be concealing a blade or something else of like equal value. It as I say, it just makes it worthwhile looking around.
Cool. I can't wait.
The second like big thing was the expansion pass, which Nintendo, we know it's called a season pass. So you call it an expansion pass, that's just a clever way of making it sound less bad.
Which
don't think we haven't noticed.
Yeah, what's doubtful about makes it sound better. I mean, it's a pass. It's extra money we have to pay, so
I mean, it's forgivable in the sense that it's £24.
Okay.
Which is a reasonable season pass price. I mean, it's not the Shadows of Valentia £40 season pass, Nintendo, but the sheer amount of content coming in it. I mean, the expansion pass will be lasting until autumn 2018, so that's quite an extensive amount of time. Adding new quests, rare blades, additional rare blades, and the last piece of DLC will be an additional piece of story content.
It's pretty good for $24.
Yeah, not bad, especially seeing as it will last a year. That's the thing. Well, almost a year. That's the thing which I think I'm sold on the most. The fact it will be just new stuff coming to your game over almost a whole year. That's because it's going to be a massive game anyway. It's a monolith RPG. It's going to be huge. I mean, I spent altogether on Xenoblade Chronicles something like 130 hours or something. It's going to be huge, and that's good that they're going through the effort of expanding that even further.
Yeah, that just sounds massive. I mean, if already the base game is going to be that large and they're adding like so much with the expansion pass, I mean, that just sounds like a really worthwhile package.
Mm. And I hope it does actually end up being as worthwhile as it sounds.
Is the expansion
Um,
pass in the collector's edition?
no, I know
Oh.
that because I've pre-ordered the collector's edition.
And you stuck with your pre-order.
Yeah, because I want it.
Oh, I see. Ah.
Um, I'm not as intelligent as you, Akibana. Um, well, the last thing about Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and possibly the most interesting bit of news to come about, because it was a very piece of, it was a surprise news at the very least, was an interesting crossover in which, if any of you haven't played your copy of Breath of the Wild for a while on Switch, if you were to load up your game now, having updated it, you would have a free quest that would have appeared in your game to find essentially clothing to dress yourself up as the main character of Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
that that was actually a really huge surprise. I was kind of bummed
Mm.
that they didn't include a weapon as well. Although that would probably just
It would have only
exactly
broken.
that would have been my next point. The weapon you never use because it's gonna break.
But the thing is, like that I mean, that made me pick up Breath of the Wild again. I mean, I'll now not play it again, but I've got the outfit, and it's really cool. It is actually like they've actually thought about how Rex's outfit would actually fit Link in a kind of sensible fashion. It's really nice. It's really well designed, and also the quest is really interesting as well. I really enjoyed kind of embarking upon that. Um, but yeah, the Breath of the Wild Xenoblade Chronicles 2 crossover, which no one expected, and yet was possibly one of the most interesting things to come out of the direct for me.
I like these little things. I really like them. I like them when like one of the pioneers, one of the companies that's doing this a lot is Blizzard. Like a lot of the stuff that you can find a lot of stuff that are related to Hearthstone within Heroes of the Storm and then in World of Warcraft. Like they do these little cross game things and you can unlock them cross game as well. So that makes it like I like that they're starting to like, put all of these worlds that they have together and making all of these games have crossover stuff with each other because it just kind of makes you feel like you're part of a big ecosystem, and I like that a lot.
Mm. Yeah, and if you haven't played Xenoblade Chronicles, I would very much recommend it.
My first one is gonna be Xenoblade Chronicles 2 because I never had a Wii U, I never had a new Nintendo 3DS, so I was never able to play the game. So yeah, never was worth it for me to get a new 3DS just for a single game, unfortunately.
But yeah, well, it is a good game, but I agree with you on that. It's not really a game worth getting a new 3DS for. But Xenoblade Chronicles 2, a few weeks away.
Just a few weeks away, December 1st, it's coming out.
Mm.
It's looking incredible. I'm liking what you're saying about how big it is and how awesome the exploration is going to be. I'm liking everything I'm hearing. The design of the characters, the swords look awesome. The everything just looks great about this game. I'm super excited. Definitely we're seeing a big graphical update since the first time that they announced the game.
Oh yeah, a lot of people have put up kind of side by side kind of screen captures of the footage of like, and also the visuals on some of the characters, and they are dramatically improved. It's great. And it's not the first time they've done this. Mario Odyssey
Yeah,
was the same. If you look at the first trailers of Mario Odyssey and the last few trailers of Mario Odyssey, the jump in graphical fidelity is quite astounding.
definitely Nintendo contesting for this year for best stuff in general in gaming because Nintendo's
Mm,
having an incredible year already. Let's see what happens next year. I'm quite excited with Metroid and other stuff on the horizon.
yeah. Metroid Prime 4. I think even if that's a bad game, that's going to sell really
Like
well.
hotcakes, as they say. And
Mhm.
there you go. That's your weekly gaming blast from last week. Yeah. So if you let's see. What do you got to share for us this week, Rue?
Well, I do have a lot on, as normal with me, isn't it? My review of Doom on Switch will be up tomorrow evening. Tomorrow evening at time of recording, so Monday evening. So look forward to that. It's a game. Um, I have a couple of YouTube videos which will go up before this goes up as well. Lone Survivor episode 3, and also Unist episode 5, I believe, are going up. And you may have noticed it was Akibana's suggestion. I've now kind of created kind of end sequences for my videos, so they now end in a lot less abrupt way. And I believe that's it for me in content over the next few days.
And some really solid content at that. If you're not watching Rue's content, you better hit up his YouTube channel or ruethegamer.com where all of his stuff gets uploaded.
Oh, and Cuphead.
Oh,
I'm streaming Cuphead on twitch.tv/RueTheGamer at 6 p.m. UK time on Tuesday evening.
This coming Tuesday.
So come watch me get
so basically,
salty. Just
tomorrow
come
for the people who are watching this video on the current. Yes, it's his stream is definitely something to check out, guys. So you better be there because I'm gonna be there for sure. Distracting myself from the things that I'm supposed to be doing, but okay, it's Cuphead.
Your boss battles.
My big boss battle, yeah. As for me, the only last piece of content I released was my last Ruby trailer reaction, which came out a few days ago, and it's been very well received, and I'm really, really grateful towards any Ruby fans who have been following me and are watching this video right now. You guys are amazing. So amazing. You won't be expecting any other content from me this week because I have to focus on bigger, more important things, unfortunately. I would rather be playing games, but right now this is something that I have to take care of. So yeah, there's not gonna be much content. You will have seen as of today, you will have seen my 5th vlog explaining a little bit more on what's gonna happen here on out and post dissertation land. So yeah, that's pretty much it from me. And that's gonna do it. That's gonna do it for this week.
But as always, as well. Sorry to interrupt you. But as always, if Akibana does do anything, you can find both his and my kind of up-to-date sort of, I don't know, musings and goings on the Twitters.
On the Twitters and on the Facebooks. My Facebook.
Oh yeah, the Facebooks. Yeah, I always forget about
the Facebooks and all of our other links. You can find them in the description below, along with the anything other related to links that we've been sharing up until now. And yeah, that's gonna do it. Hope you all are gonna have a great gaming week, and we'll catch you soon.
Bye bye.